Hello everyone, hope you all are doing well. Today in this video, I'm going to talk about Jupiter's transit in the sign of Pisces. There has been a bit of a wait for this video, and I thank you for your patience. But this is going to be really exciting because I am quite pleased, talking about Jupiter's auspicious transit in the sign of Pisces. Over the last couple of years, Jupiter has gone through various sufferings as well in the sign of Capricorn, certain struggles when it was debilitated, and also not being able to do best, in terms of its abilities in sign of Aquarius as well. But now this is homecoming for Jupiter. This transit has already started. It started on the 13th of April, 2022, and this is going to go on um, till 2023, till about 22nd or 21st or 22nd of April 2023. So this is a 1 year transit, 1 year, a few days, and Jupiter is blessing the whole world and to all of us being in the sign of Pisces. It's homecoming for Jupiter. It is also said that when a graha is in its own sign at home, it feels the most comfortable. I sometimes consider it to be an even better position while it is in Mul Trikona, which is the office, or in the sign of exaltation, because this is the space wherein we feel very comfortable when we are at home. So similarly, a graha feels very comfortable when it is at home, and that's the space for Jupiter here. So what I'm going to do is, first few minutes, we are going to talk about certain key dates, and I'm going to share with you some general interpretations of this auspicious transit, and then we will go ascendant by ascendant, or moon sign by moon sign, however you want to relate this transit to, and talk about certain results, both positive as well as negative results of Jupiter through this transit. So the first key date that has already passed by was between 13th till 28th of April, when Jupiter was transiting the Purva Bhadrapad Nakshatra Pada 4. This is ruled by Jupiter itself. A timing of this transit when Jupiter is coming through the fourth pada of its own nakshatra, where it has been. So we'll talk about very recent change that has happened in 28th of April, and this is going to go on till 29th of July, when Jupiter is transiting the nakshatra of Uttara Bhadrapad. So Uttara Bhadrapad is ruled by Saturn. So I'm talking about till 29th of July because after that, for a few months, Jupiter is going to go retrograde. Uh, which is from 29th of July till 22nd of November. Jupiter is going to be retrograde. And that time, Jupiter is going to be around 14 degrees, so already halfway through in the sign of Pisces. Okay, and it is going to go retrograde within the sign of Pisces as well, so it's not going to come back in the sign of Aquarius. So, and from 22nd of November till about 24th of February, it is going to go direct in Uttara Bhadrapad Nakshatra across all the padas of this nakshatra, and this will be a direct movement. And that time, Jupiter is going to be stationary for a couple of days around 22nd of 22nd of November. Okay, and it will be around 4 degrees. Coincidentally, Jupiter currently is transiting around 4 degrees as well, so it will sort of be back to sort of where it was at the current time. And from 24th of February till about 21st of or 22nd of April, Jupiter is going to transit in the nakshatra of Revati, which is the last of nakshatras of all, the 27th nakshatra, which is ruled by Mercury. So Jupiter is going to go transit through the last of the nakshatras of the zodiac belt, so we can also call it a great reset that Jupiter is, bestowing us. So lots of changes that are going to come ahead, and significations related to Jupiter are going to be on rise. Why I chose to make this video at this point in time, because as per ancient text, when a graha, important grahas like Jupiter, Saturn, when they transit, okay, they would only start giving results when they change the sign where they are in Navamsha. That means they need to move from one pada of nakshatra to the other pada, or they need to change the nakshatra signs. And that has happened very recently when Jupiter was in the sign of was in the Navamsha of Cancer when it was in Uttara Bhadrapad pada 4. Now from that it has moved to Leo in the Navamsha sign. So it is the time when Jupiter will start giving its results. And through this period, Jupiter is going to transit, um, through Leo Navamsha, then Virgo Navamsha, then Libra Navamsha, and then Scorpio Navamsha, and it's going to go retrograde back to sort of where it was in Leo Navamsha gradually, and then moving direct within the sign of Pisces in Uttar Bhadrapad Nakshatra that is ruled by Saturn. And thankfully, Saturn's going pretty well, pretty strong. Recently it has moved to the sign of Aquarius. It's Mool Trikon sign, and then it is going to be there for some time, right before it goes retro back into the sign of Capricorn, and then sort of gradually moves to the sign of Aquarius and going to stay there for about 2025. But this is a bit of a dance of Saturn that's going to be there for a couple of months. But then we'll talk about Saturn's transit in another video. But here, in a general sense, this transit is going to activate the ninth cycle based on the nakshatras, based on the sign placement. This is going to activate the ninth cycle. Now, what does that mean? Jupiter is also the natural ruler of the ninth house and the ruler of the 12th house of the zodiac belt. So passing through these set of nakshatras, it is going to activate the ninth cycle, which means it is going to activate dharma. It is going to promote long distance travel. It is going to highly activate spirituality and higher wisdom, knowledge, the wealth of knowledge. This is what Jupiter, really stands for and means. And there could be very, very prominent results that we can see around the world for the next 1 year around these parameters, and you might have started to feel some of those areas. If not, you would be able to feel it very soon. Now, one of the things that I always mention that transits need to be linked with the current Mahadasha, Antardasha, or Pratantardasha, or any of the conditioned Nakshatra dashas that the native is going through. So, whatever we are going to share in this video, whatever I'm going to talk about, if your dasha is supportive at this point in time, if you are running, if Jupiter is playing a role in either Mahadasha, Antardasha, Patantardasha, or any of the other, nakshatra based conditional dashas, then you will face, and experience the maximum results of this transit. Otherwise, in most cases, if Jupiter is not associated to, or linked to in the dasha, this might be just like a more of a touch and go transit. The other aspect is, since it is going through major time of the transit is through the nakshatra ruled by Saturn, that is Uttara Bhadrapad nakshatra. So in case Saturn is playing a role in any of the dashas that you are currently running, then you are going to feel most of experience the most from this transit. Also, if Jupiter is forming an important yoga or rules an important house in your chart, so primarily, if it is strongly placed, you are likely to experience some of the good results through this transit. This transit mostly is positive for most of the ascendants, but yes, might bring some negative influences for some as well. But mostly it's on a positive side. Now, besides the ninth cycle activation, the other houses in a chart that it is going to activate based on its nakshatra pada transit through four padas across Uttara Bhadrapad nakshatra is the second house, the third house, the fourth house, the fifth house, and the sixth house, besides the natural ninth house in your zodiac. So you are likely to feel prominent results in the first few days, let's say the first few weeks around the second house and the ninth house. And after a few days, you're likely to feel the results of the third house then the fourth house, then the fifth house, and then the sixth house. So this should be perhaps a good enough information for you in order to plan yourself. Okay, as this is a great reset, and um, Jupiter is going through the last set of nakshatras, so we're going to experience a lot of positive change in dharma related activities are going to thrive. Long distance travel that's already started, with the restrictions coming off. So we are going to witness a lot of long distance travel, across the world, that this transit is going to be bringing in higher wisdom. So it is an excellent time to pick up a course, upskill yourself. Now, one of the things which this transit is going to do, since most of the time it will be in the nakshatra that is ruled by Saturn, so the houses ruled by Saturn are going to be very much active in your chart. That means the house of Capricorn and Aquarius. So these signs, whichever house it is placed in, are going to be fairly active. You are likely to experience very, very positive results in the sign of Libra. So if you have any grahas placed in Libra or the sign of Libra, or any of these grahas or this sign is playing a role in the current dashas that you're running, so you are going to experience extremely positive results because that is where Saturn gets exalted. The matter of concern will be the sign of Aries. So that's where most of the challenges and hardships and problems are going to come from, with regards to your chart. Particularly the recent, transit of Rahu Ketu has also occurred, and Rahu is transiting in the sign of Aries and Ketu in Libra. So that's where you'd probably see some positive and negative side. Okay. Besides that, a holistic, interpretation needs to be done. One needs to understand a lot of factors besides just the current transit. Talk about certain ascendants and how this transit is going to have an impact on you. So let's start with the first of all, Aries ascendant. So if you are an Aries ascendant or the Aries moon sign, you can relate this transit to either ascendant sign or the moon sign. And my approach is, if you relate it to the ascendant sign, you are going to see the manifestation of results at the physical level. If you look at the transit from the moon sign, the manifestation of results are more at the mental level. So in case you watch this video and you see a positive outcome for your ascendant as well as moon sign, then you're likely to experience extremely positive results. If both of them are on the negative side, then of course you're likely to feel some hardship around those matters. And if one is positive and the other is negative, then you are likely to experience mixed results. But then you need to understand whether those results would manifest at the physical level or the mental level. So the sign of Aries. So for Aries ascendants, Jupiter is the ruler of the ninth house and the 12th house. So you're ruler of the ninth house of Dharma, fortune, father, long distance travel, guru, spirituality, higher learning, about your past life karma, and the 12th lord, the house of loss, the house of sleep, the house of hospitals, bed pleasures, the house of spirituality, the house of giving up yourself and giving it away to others, of helping others and serving others. So Jupiter is just transiting in your 12th house in the chart. So this transit for Aries ascendant is mostly positive because Jupiter becomes one of the Yogakaraka grahas for them. And then transiting in its own sign is extremely positive because here Jupiter is going to use the ninth lord and is going into the 12th house. So through this transit, you can expect a huge support when it comes to your higher learning or your wisdom or your dharma related activities. So you're going to be focusing and putting in a lot of effort and time on some of those things. Aries ascendants are also likely to be building some strong connections with people in the foreign lands. Okay, because that's what 12th house also represents. It represents foreigners, it represents foreign lands, and Jupiter's placement there is going to expand because that's what Jupiter and or Guru really means. It is the Karaka of expansion. Okay. Now from here, sitting in the 12th house, Jupiter is going to aspect the 5th from its position, 7th from its position, and 9th from its position. Now its fifth aspect and ninth aspect are 100% aspects. That's where you would receive perhaps focus on 100% results. So I'm going to spend or probably stress more on these two aspects, which are the dharma aspects. So from here, sitting in the 12th house, Jupiter is going to aspect your 4th house, and Jupiter is going to aspect your 8th house. So it is going to elevate the significance related to 4th house and the 8th house matters. That means it is likely to bring you happiness, satisfaction, and deliver most prominent results and support your mother and her health. More focus of connecting with people in homeland. This is an extremely beneficial time in terms of buying or investing in real estate and also getting a vehicle. So those all are the significations which Jupiter is going to elevate, and the 8th house matters. It is going to improve or make you stay away from any chronic illness or diseases. It is going to give you longevity. It is going to also boost your interest in occult sciences and mysticism and secret knowledge that you were to be digging deep. Um, a lot of other people might reach out to you at this time to seek help, and would end up sharing their secrets as well, and consider you as a counselor or a mentor. Okay, that's going to be there. uh, the other, on the negative side, some of the things that Jupiter may influence is that it may give you some minor health issues. It may sort of influence a visit to the hospital. um, so I'd like to give you a small technique. So instead of sort of literally going to the hospital, to pay bills of medical bills, it'll be nice if you sort of just make a visit to any of the hospital, go there, sit there, have a cup of coffee. Most hospitals have a cafe, or just make a visit and sort of come back. So you anyway, paying a karmic, you're sort of paying a karmic debt there. Uh, so that's something that I'd like to recommend. Besides that, this is an excellent time to do your prayers, um, seek a guru for yourself, or probably the guru might find you at this point in time, and an excellent time for your spiritual upliftment. So all in all, an extremely positive and a beneficial transit for the Aries ascendant. Let's talk about the next ascendant, that is the Taurus ascendant. Okay, so for Taurus ascendants, Jupiter rules the 8th house and the 11th house. Jupiter also, becomes a not so good graha, or one of the potent malefic grahas for Taurus ascendants, considering its natural relationship with Venus. It shares enmity. Um, but then Jupiter is transiting the 11th house here. Okay, basic principle is any graha that is placed in the 11th house or is in transit in the 11th house is expected to give positive results, right? Particularly when it is related to material and gains, but that's not the inherent nature of Jupiter. So here I would say that though Jupiter is going to give mostly positive results, but then you need to watch out for um, and pay a lot of attention on certain matters that can be detrimental, for your well-being. So here, the 8th and the 11th Lord is in the 11th house, so this is an excellent time for gains. And then, um, Taurus, as the sign says, you also need to look at, that at present your Lagnesh Venus is transiting through your 11th house as well. So that's a great conjunction of Jupiter and Venus that is going to last for, another few days. So quite an, auspicious and a positive, feeling that you might be going through, at this point in time. Okay. So here Jupiter is going to grant you certain gains. So if you're expecting some windfall gains, those expecting promotions or increments, this is the time of the year wherein your expectations are likely to be fulfilled. Okay. Now going into the 11th. Okay. So it is advised that you spend on spiritual practices, you spend on dharmic related activities, and also pay more attention in terms of donating to temples and giving charity and sort of you know giving charity to those who are the needy people. So that is something which is going to be highly beneficial for yourself. So while sitting in the 11th house, Jupiter is going to have the fifth aspect on the third house and the ninth aspect on the seventh house. Okay, so here it is going to elevate the matters of these two houses. So it is going to bring you some short-term travels. It is going to enhance relationship with the younger siblings, and your support would be quite instrumental for their success. It is going to scale up your communication and expand your communication, with the world, and would continue to support you in making efforts on that run. Jupiter's aspect on the seventh house. So those looking forward to perhaps getting married or finding a match. So this year is quite promising for the Taurus ascendants. And for those who are married, it is likely to foster relationships. Seventh house is also the house of the outer world, is the house of partnerships. So this is also a great time for you to get into a partnership or any sort of venture that you're likely to be, and you are going to be very conscious of your image on the social media. So one word of caution that I'd like to give to those who are Taurus ascendants, that you need to be a bit mindful of when you use social networking sites, or be active around it, and what you say and how you say it, and also be mindful of interacting and dealing with your friends, because you might experience certain friends turning foes. So if you want, you can isolate yourself for a certain amount of time to avoid that kind of situation. There is no harm in that. So yes, all in all, slightly positive, but then with certain challenges as well that Jupiter might bring to the Taurus ascendants. Next up in the zodiac, Gemini ascendants. So for Gemini ascendant signs or the moon signs, Jupiter rules the seventh house and the 10th house. Um, I think last few months, Geminis have been going through, various challenges, with an Ashtama Shani, and then, certain other challenges as well, sort of Jupiter's transit through the eighth house, and then sort of, moving through the sign of Aquarius there, because Jupiter also becomes a Badhakesh for Geminis, but then an important graha at the same time because it is ruling two Kendras. Um, so the wait is over. Happy times ahead for Gemini ascendants, because it's your seventh and 10th lord and coming into the 10th house, and Jupiter is also one of the karakas for the 10th house. So career, profession. Uh, so career, profession, job, your work, your actions in the society, all of that is going to elevate. This transit for the next 1 year is going to give you recognition, support at your workplace, and you're going to shine at your workplace. Rewards, recognition, promotions, all of that, is really on the cards here for Gemini's. Condition is that your current dasha should be supportive. Either Jupiter or Saturn should be playing a role in your current time period, and they should be well placed in your chart, because Jupiter also suffers from Kendra Adipati dosha for Gemini. So if it's placed in Kendras or Trikonas, it's highly auspicious, and you're going to witness an extremely positive time for the next 1 year. This is your year. Here, Jupiter is going to have an aspect on the second house, that is its fifth aspect. So you can expect monetary gains, you know, wealth. That's what second house stands for. Well-being of the family. You would be very much focused on what you would like to eat and experience. But then please be mindful of what you eat, because you should not be ending up in a situation where you sort of eat a lot and start gaining weight. So that's something that you need to be mindful of. So a regular exercise or workout regime is highly essential. But then this place is going to enhance this aspect is going to enhance your savings. Jupiter's ninth aspect, here is going to go on the sixth house. So here it is going to help you overcome competition, your enemies, and bring in a lot of positive significations with regards to matters of the sixth house. So being placed in the 10th and aspecting the sixth house is also the house of job. So all in all, it's an extremely positive transit when it comes to work, profession. So most Geminis get ready and be prepared for the exciting journey that is coming ahead. Um, on a negative side, right, you need to be a bit mindful of your current life with your partner or your business partner or your marriage, and sort of need to put more focus into your relationships at this point in time. So one of the advice that I'd like to give to you is listen to your partners, listen to your business partners, listen to your marriage, your spouse, and then act accordingly. So all in all, an extremely positive transit for Geminis. Next up is the sign of Cancer. So, for Cancer rising, this transit is again, quite positive because for Cancer ascendants, Jupiter becomes an important graha, for yourself. So, for Cancer rising, your sixth lord and the ruler of the ninth lord is transiting your ninth house of Dharma, fortune. Fortune favors the brave. What Cancer ascendant need is a bit of a bravery, because quite recently, Moon has been involved. Your Lagna Lord has been involved in an eclipse, so you might feel a certain amount of restlessness, in the coming days or weeks. But as and when time passes, this is going to strengthen and elevate your fortune or your bhagya. Okay, so here, sitting in the ninth house, it is going to aspect your ascendant. So it is going to strengthen yourself, and things related to the ascendant. That's one of the most important houses in the chart. So it's going to put a lot of focus back in your own self, your well-being. But then one needs to be mindful of, because Jupiter is a karaka for expansion. So just watch what you eat, take care of your dietary needs and the lifestyle, because Jupiter is likely, to uh, get you tendency to gain weight. So that's one space wherein you need to be a bit mindful of. And here Jupiter is also going to aspect your fifth house. That's the house of future, the house of children, the house of education, the house of creativity, the house of speculative businesses and gains. So, a very bright future ahead. Cancer ascendants will, sort of start planning for the future. Start putting things in practice, and that's how this transit is going to be. So you see that your whole Dharma Trikon is pretty much active during this transit, so that's quite auspicious. One of the quite a best and ideal times for you to either seek blessings of your guru, or this might be a beneficial time for you that a guru might find you, here. And for Cancer ascendants, this is also an excellent time to build and strengthen certain relationship with your father, seek the advice and blessings, and extremely supportive for your father as far as this transit is concerned. Those who are willing to seek higher education, let's say a postgraduate degree, can do that. And uh, those who are likely to travel long distance for either settling abroad or for education, for work, this is an extremely positive transit, and you might see your paperwork with regards to visa coming through in a very positive manner. But then quite future focused, elevation of your bhagya, quite supportive. All in all, that's what I can say for the Cancer ascendants. An extremely positive transit. So make the most of this 1 year here, because over the course of the last few months, with Saturn aspecting your ascendant, it's been, a rough ride, a challenging ride for you. Okay, now that Saturn's also sort of moved past and sort of moved into the eighth house, and it's also the Karaka. So yes, it's an extremely positive time to look back and plan things, and there is that light ahead. Let's talk about the next ascendant, that is Leo ascendant. So for Leo ascendant, again, Jupiter becomes an important graha, okay, because here Jupiter is ruling one of the Trikona houses, for your ascendant, that is the fifth house. So Jupiter is the ruler of the fifth house and the eighth house for Leo ascendants, and it is in transit in your eighth house of the chart. Okay, so here, Jupiter is going to support and elevate and expand matters related to the eighth house. So besides, minor health issues that Jupiter might bring in during the start of its transit, but later on, it is going to support, Ayush or longevity. It is going to boost your interest in hidden knowledge, things that are much hidden or secretive in nature, occult, Jyotish, and Vedic sciences, and Ayurveda. So those are some of the things that you'd like to do. It is also an excellent time for some of you to gain from inheritance, from your family, and also put your focus back on, for those who married, put your focus back on improving relationship with your in-laws. So that's what this transit is going to bring in. Okay. Now here, your fifth lord goes into the eighth house. So the education has a connection with research, occult sciences, and those are some of the subjects or probably areas that you might want to explore or that you might want to put in practice. And Leos are likely to Leo ascendants are likely to gain happiness from creative activities, and sort of further taking some short-term education courses or certification courses, and this is certainly an excellent time for doing that. Okay, here Jupiter is going to has a fifth aspect, that's 100% aspect on the 12th house. Okay, so supportive with regards to matters related to 12th house. So 8th and 12th have a definite connection. Those seeking a permanent resident abroad, this is one time, if Jupiter is supportive in your natal chart, and if your Chaturthamsa chart or the D4 chart is again supportive, and then your current dashas are favorable, so it is a time for you to gain PR for yourself, and that can be pretty much long lasting. Such is the impact of the fifth aspect of Jupiter. Okay, Jupiter is going to have its ninth aspect on the fourth house, so that is going to bring in happiness. That is going to bring in fulfillment of your desires. That is going to sort of also connect yourself with your mother and your homeland. So that is going to be, putting those priorities back. Though you still might be, looking for opportunities abroad, but your focus, would also be connecting or reconnecting back to the homeland if you already are, sort of living abroad. Excellent time for real estate, owning a property or a vehicle, and some of these matters which will, help you in gaining more happiness and satisfaction. Those, who are seeking to build credibility with the general public, right? Let's say a politician, or your job is, or your work is, to deal with a lot of people in public. So you would have great support of the people during this transit. So that's for the sign of Leo. Okay. Next up is the sign of Virgo. So for the Virgo rising signs, Jupiter is not one of the best grahas for you, but then it rules two Kendra houses, two important Kendra houses. It becomes your fourth lord and the seventh lord. So this transit is going to deliver results based on the natal placement of Jupiter. And if also Saturn is well placed through this transit, you are going to experience, fantastic results if these two conditions are met. Otherwise, this transit can bring in certain challenges that I'm going to talk about now. Okay, so the first thing is that fourth lord and seventh lord, going into its own sign in the seventh house. So here, most people might, sort of believe that it is an appropriate time or a good time to get married. Okay, but that might be an illusion because in order to ensure that it is fulfilled, your chart should have a strong and a prominent Jupiter and also a well-placed Venus. If that is supportive, this can be that year when people might be able to, seek new relationships, new partnerships, and also get married during this time. Otherwise, it is just an illusion, and it might not have that much of an impact, on yourself. Now, let's talk about Jupiter's aspect here. Sort of most importantly, so Jupiter's fifth aspect, 100% aspect, is going to be in the 11th house. That's the house of gains, and Jupiter is going to bring in some enormous amount of gains for Virgo ascendants here through from business, from other people, from the public. So that's one time wherein you might see a considerable increase or a considerable improvement in your overall financial position. Jupiter is going to have its ninth aspect on the third house. So it is going to put a lot of focus on your efforts and a lot of energy that you're going to give on your efforts, on your communication. This might also bring in some fruitful short term travels. These travels can be related to some dharmic activities. These travels can also be related to leisure for some people. So make the most of this year, and I believe the more you travel, the more likely you would feel, fulfillment or satisfaction or happiness, and it's going to bring in your stress levels, down to a great extent. Because for Virgo ascendants, even Saturn's transit is going to be quite positive. So all in all, it would deliver a lot of positive results. But then you need to also be mindful of your eating habits. What are you consuming? Stay away from and probably take control of on your sweet tooth and avoid any sugary stuff on or things who are pretty much high on sugar and too much of an oily stuff. Replace the normal vegetable oil with desi ghee, okay, and but then ensure that the quantity is taken into account and you're a bit mindful of the quantity of the food that you consume. So that's it for Virgo ascendants. So let's talk about Libra ascendants. So for Libra ascendants, Jupiter rules the third house and the sixth house. So it does not rule, any of the important houses for Libra. So and more or less, Jupiter is considered a functional malefic for the Libra ascendants. It is not it does not share a great relationship with Shukra as well, with Venus, the Lagna Lord. Um, but then, if you recall that I had shared in my first part of the video that this transit is going to have a very good impact on the sign of Libra. So that is something which Libra ascendants or moon signs should perhaps watch out for. So I consider, for this reason, I consider this transit to be extremely positive. Now, the reason for this was that Jupiter is going to transit the nakshatra of Saturn, and Saturn gets exalted in the sign of Libra. So that is where you are likely to experience most positive and prominent results from this transit for most of the time of this transit. So here Jupiter is going to transit in your sixth house. So it is going to support your daily activities. It is going to be extremely supportive on the job front, on the professional front, and on the career front. Because sixth house is also the house of job. This is the house of daily routines. This is the house of competition. Though it is going to expand competition for yourself, and in order to ensure that you are victorious, you need to upskill yourself. You need to pick up a skill or two, learn something new, and that is where you need to spend your your brains and your time and your investment on to make the most of this transit. Otherwise, you might lead yourself in a very challenging position. If you do not pay attention on upskilling yourself. Jupiter's 100% aspect. Those are the fifth and the ninth aspect. So consciously, I'm not talking about the seventh aspect because it is not 100%. But then the fifth aspect is going to be on your 10th house. So again, very much supportive when it comes to career, when it comes to a new job or opportunities or a change, elevation, promotion. So all of these opportunities that Jupiter is going to bring in. And here Jupiter is also going to be aspecting your second house. So that is again indicative of income, accumulated wealth. You will have more savings, so you can expect a significant rise in your income for Libra ascendants during this time. But then it may bring certain amount of stress as well, because you would likely to be pushed into a number of things, not by choice, but that's the situation that you're likely to be in. So just brace yourself, and you just be mindful of the stressful conditions that this transit might bring in. But otherwise, these are the positive significations that it might be bringing in for you. The other important piece of advice is also that you need to watch what you eat, and avoid fatty foods and sugary foods as well at the same time, and be mindful of the quantity of the food that you consume. Of course, you might want to explore a variety of things or cuisines at this point in time, but just also put your focus on exercising, because Saturn's having an extremely positive transit for the next 2.5 years for Libra ascendants. So this is the time when you can make the most of putting your thoughts into actions, um, and getting more opportunities and greater and bigger opportunities for yourself, because the next 2.5, 3 years overall are quite positive from the transit perspective. Okay, so that's for the Libra ascendants. Let's talk about Scorpio ascendants. For Scorpios, Jupiter becomes an important graha. Okay, um, now reason being, because here Jupiter is the ruler of your fifth house, as well as the ruler of your second house. Okay, and this Jupiter is transiting in your fifth house. So it is a mostly positive transit, because its aspects are going to be quite auspicious. That is something I'm going to talk about in the next few seconds. But then your second lord and your fifth lord being placed in the fifth house is going to be a ton yoga in transit. I would probably say, and give you more opportunities to earn and secure wealth. Those who are looking forward to having children or progeny, this transit is extremely supportive and might see you having a childbirth in case you are looking for it or have been trying for it. It is extremely supportive on the educational front, creativity front, and for your future planning and fulfillment of what you want or you desire for in the near future. Jupiter, from being placed in the fifth house, is going to aspect your ninth house. This is going to elevate fortune, bhagya. You are also likely to have some sort of long distance travel that might be very much fruitful, for yourself. Um, this Jupiter might bring in some opportunities from abroad, or you're likely to, build some connections, with people who are living in the country outside of yours, in case you are in a similar work setup. But yes, this is going to bring in some good and fruitful long distance travels. Okay, Jupiter is also going to be aspecting your ascendant, so strengthening your overall personality, strengthening your immunity, and for you to be taking care of your well-being, of increasing your knowledge and higher wisdom. So this is a time for Scorpio ascendants to make the most of this transit and experience its positive results for the next 1 year. Okay. On the negative side, okay, this Jupiter, might make you a bit complacent or easygoing at certain intervals or a point in time, right? So you need to be mindful of the fact that you would still need to put efforts, because that is what Saturn's transit is going to demand or ask for. So in order to make the most of Jupiter's transit, put in some efforts. You would be rewarded a lot more than you would ask for. That's something which I can probably suggest from this transit. So all in all, a positive transit for the Scorpio ascendants. Let's talk about Sagittarius ascendants. So Sagittarius ascendants, Jupiter becomes your Lagna Lord and is transiting in the fourth house. It also becomes the fourth Lord. So this is an extremely positive transit for the Sagittarius ascendants because of Jupiter's transit in one of the important Kendra houses. So it is going to put a lot of focus on doing things that would enhance your happiness and your satisfaction and overall mental well-being. So that is going to be the focus of the hour for all the Sagittarius risings. Here, you also need to consider the role that Jupiter plays, if it plays an important role in any of the current Mahadashas or Antardashas, and also if Jupiter is strongly placed in your chart, if it forms a yoga or is placed in any of the Kendra or Trikona houses, you are going to achieve or probably receive maximum positive results through this transit. So, sitting in the fourth house, Jupiter is going to have a fifth aspect on your eighth house. Okay, so this is going to elevate the significance related to the eighth house. This is going to give you longevity. This is going to be extremely fruitful. When it regards to health matters, if you've been facing some minor health ailments, this is going to strengthen your immunity further. Those who are interested in doing a research or are interested in occult sciences or something that is hidden as far as knowledge is concerned, this is the time for you, because being placed in the fourth house, you will also receive a huge support from other people or the general public, and then it is an extremely beneficial time for you to explore what is hidden, to gain your awareness and to be more self-aware as well, for your own self. Jupiter is going to have its ninth aspect on your 12th house. Okay, so this is going to be favorable when it comes to building certain foreign connections and people from the foreign land. Okay, this is also going to be extremely beneficial, and certain the people who are Sagittarius ascendants, they might do a lot of charity around this time. So giving up on certain things and being supportive towards others who need your help at this point in time would be extremely beneficial for you. So I would encourage you to use this year to do a lot for other people, those who are in need, those who are going through health issues. If you can support them, support certain hospitals, and then those who are in need of certain help, whether it's monetary or non-monetary. So that is something which is going to be extremely beneficial for you at this point in time. This is also an extremely beneficial time for you to uplift your spiritual quotient and take part in certain spiritual activities and dharmic activities around this time, which will give you a peace of mind, okay, which would help you sort of achieve a lot in the near future, because that is what is going to make you more energetic in the coming months. So this is highly advisable for you to, spend time with nature, connect with the nature, meditate, and do whatever you can in uplifting your spiritual practices. So this is for the Sagittarius ascendants. Now let's talk about Capricorn ascendants, the Capricorn rising signs. So here, Jupiter is going to be transiting in your third house. Okay, and it is also your 12th lord. So the 12th lord and the third lord is transiting in the third house for the Capricorn ascendants. Okay. Um, Now, Jupiter is considered to be Manan in the third house. But then this transit is going to be very positive for the Capricorn ascendants, right? One is, again, Jupiter is not one of the best grahas for you, and its placement there when it goes MKS, okay, would perhaps obstruct or block matters related to the third house, okay, negative matters related to the third house. But then its aspects here are on the seventh house and the 11th house. So it is an extremely beneficial time for gains through partnerships. Okay. And those who are waiting or looking forward to, getting married, um, for especially for Capricorn ascendants, this has been a bit of a rough time in terms of delays that the Saturn transit is going to bring in. So you see, certain things or your projects or things in your personal life, speed up a bit and pick up that pace. So if you're waiting to get married, this is the time when you're likely to find a spouse for yourself and settle down in life. This is also an extremely beneficial time when Jupiter's ninth aspect, 100% aspect, is going to go on the 11th house. So gains in your income, in your overall well-being. You're likely to expand your network of people and make more friends, and that can be extremely supportive, during this time in this transit of Jupiter in the sign of Pisces. Okay, so next up is the Aquarius ascendants. So for the Aquarius ascendant, people, Saturn's just entered your Lagna, and you are going to have, probably soon Saturn's going to go retrograde and then, be back again and be in your Lagna. Um, those who are Aquarius moon signs are also sort of going through, their Saraswati as well. But then this Jupiter's transit is going to bring in certain respite, and relief, because Jupiter has been has started transiting in your 12th house when it was in the sign of Capricorn, might have brought some amount of struggles. Then moving on to your ascendant, okay, while Saturn was still transiting in your 12th house. And now Jupiter is going to transit in your second house. Jupiter is also one of the karakas for the second house. It is the primary karaka for the second house. So that's where it is going to expand your wealth, your relationship, or focus on your family and what you consume, what you eat, and also on your speech. And sort of, you'll always be mindful of the words that you perhaps use with others. Okay, it is your 11th lord. So this again is forming a nice Sun Yoga in transit. Okay, so you can expect to see certain gains in terms of wealth or the overall money matters are concerned. Okay, so from the second house, Jupiter is going to be aspecting your sixth house, so that is the fifth aspect. Okay, so here it is going to elevate the matters related to the sixth house. So quite favorable in job related matters, quite favorable in supporting daily routines, and quite favorable in terms of helping you overcome and surpass the competition that is there, standing in front of you. So that is where you are likely to be successful. Okay, um, while being in the second house, okay, Jupiter is also going to be having its ninth aspect on the 10th house. Okay, now here is where Jupiter is going to bring in more opportunities with regards to work is concerned. So you see the 6-10 aspect. So from a professional point of view, your career point of view, it is an extremely positive transit. Okay, uh, that Jupiter is going to bestow for the next 1 year. So please make the most of this transit, here when it comes to work-related matters, and sort of put your focus back into work, because there is a lot of hard work that is coming your way for the next, 2.5 years, which would require efforts, which would require commitment, dedication, and of course, the hard work that is your way as well, and you should not shy away from that. Okay. Last of all, Jupiter's transit in the sign of Pisces. For Pisces ascendants, Jupiter is going to be transiting your Lagna. What a beautiful placement! What a amazing time for Pisces ascendants, because Jupiter is also your 10th lord, and now your Lagna lord transiting in your Lagna sign in your first house, where Jupiter also gains directional strength, or his Digbali. Okay, it is going to elevate the matters with regards to your Lagna for the next whole 1 year. But then the word of caution is that since Jupiter expands everything, so as long as it is not having an impact of its expansion on your body, it is fine, right? Otherwise, so just take care of your eating habits, just take care of your lifestyle. Otherwise, sitting here, Jupiter is going to have 100% aspect on the fifth house and 100% aspect on the ninth house. So it is going to, your Dharma Trikona is pretty much active. This is the time period when it is going to put a lot of focus on your future planning, and as a result of your past life karmas, you're likely to gain or probably experience some good results that is going to pave way for the near future. Considering that Jupiter should be well placed in your chart and plays certain role in the upcoming or current, dashas that are associated to your current time period. So here, all in all, a very positive transit for the Pisces ascendants. You should be making the most of it. Okay. Um, Considering the fact, for of course for the Pisces moon sign as well, this would prove to be an extremely positive transit, because you've just entered your Saraswati after Saturn uh, moving into Aquarius, though it is going to retrograde back into the sign of Capricorn. But at least you have a 1 year support, which can be extremely favorable. Might bring some mental stress, but then uh, you know it's always good to balance that out, and Pisces ascendants will be able to balance that out. So that's it in terms of Jupiter's transit through all signs. So next up, I'll be making a video on Saturn's transit in the sign of Aquarius. It's a bit of appearance before it goes retrograde. So that is going to be the next video, and one special video will be on the double transit of Jupiter and Saturn. So thank you very much, and have a good day. Bye bye.